Now, many times I've told you that sometimes these big words, as you see up here, are many words put together and they lose their original meaning. So metempsychosis is a word that the Hindus use or the East Indians use. And they believe in when you die, your soul can migrate into some sort of a beast or another human, and mostly a cow. This is why their cows are so sacred. But when we take this word apart, then we will understand the true meaning of it. Now, what we're looking at here is made up of 4 components. Some letters have been thrown out, and in order to make it so-called euphonic, that is how it sounds well. So what I'm going to do is take it apart for you. And I did take it apart many times according to the etymologist. But yesterday or the day before, I decided to take it apart my way, self-centered way. And then I got the true meaning of it. So, here we see a word of 4 pieces. And the first one is metta. Here you can see the A is chopped off, and this E here is really M, and you can see the M is chopped off. And here is Psyche, and here you can see this is chopped off. And osis means a state or a condition of. But when we look at these 4 different components, we notice metta means something as a parallel. The parallel, metta. And this M here, we'll write it down. It's Greek for in, and this is soul. And this is the state or condition through which it can go from one creature to another at death. But when we look at it in this way, we don't see anything moving from one place to another, but we can see a soul make its evolutionary advancements. And so when we come to the words Abraham, Isaac, and Joseph, or Jacob, which later becomes Israel, we're not speaking of a person here, we're speaking of souls. We're speaking of a soul that is going through Abraham, Isaac, and Joseph, or Jacob. Now we know that if we read Exodus, and it might be a good idea if you read it, 32, and if those archaic words bother you, get yourself a dictionary that uses modern English, and one of the good ones is the International Version. It uses no archaic English at all. And you will see that when Moses went into the mountains to get the laws or the commandments, And while he was gone, the people became disturbed because Moses was away too long, and they spoke to the priest Aaron, why don't we make our own God and pray to it? So he asked for all the gold, and they put it into a fire, and from it came the cow. So we can see here that their souls were cows. So if you have a house and you get invaded with a particular type of creature, then you know this is your soul. And that soul is trying to get out, trying to change itself. Not get out, but make a metamorphosis, to change into something different. You understand it now? And sometimes that could take a few years, or maybe your whole lifetime. But the thing is to become aware. Aware. And this is the important thing. This is what makes a human different than a creature or a beast. A beast can scratch itself, but never is inclined to be aware as to what is producing the itch. So if we have an itch, we look to see if anything is walking on us to give us that itch, or maybe a rash or something. But we are inquisitive. But the creature, as a dog that scratches himself, or any other creature, like a cow, shakes his tail to knock the flies off, is not aware that it is the flies that are doing it. The only thing is they do it because they get relief. So many of our words, the big ones, and one of the greatest offender of making the biggest word I ever saw, which I don't even dare try to pronounce, was B.J. Palmer. Anybody remember that word? If you do, let me know about it. I forgot it. But it was about this long. Thinking, you see, that this is education. And this is boasting instead of being simple. Simple. So when we write the word neurophysiology together, we are strangulating our thoughts. It's physiology of the neural system. That's the way it should be written. Now, if we read Exodus 32, we see that when Moses went up the mountain to meet the Lord to get the so-called commandments, he came down with 2 tablets. And this is a part, I've read it, but it didn't mean much to me, that were printed on both sides. It's important. Now, what did I tell you many times? That we must become coded. And being coded is being engraved. Now, if you go to an old cemetery, or some cemetery that has very old tombstones, it would be a tremendous job to read some of the inscriptions on it, because they are wearing away completely. And that's being coded on one side. But if the other side is a relief, as you have in a cameo, then that's a different story. And so even Jesus tells you a coin has two sides. So give to Caesar what is Caesar, and give to God what is God. Because if you don't give to Caesar, you never get your codes, and if you don't get your codes, you never get your reliefs. So we must, as Paul said, first earth Adam, then heaven Adam. And D.D. gave us chiropractic, but he was to heaven Adam. And so B.J. took it over. He was the earthly fella. Now, we have come, as far as the earthly chiropractic is concerned, almost to an end. And we in Self-Center are getting prepared to move on into the other end, which is called the relief. And this is that nice saying, do not put your treasures in earth where the moths and the rust can get at them, but put them in heaven where neither the rust nor the moths can get at them. In other words, heaven is absolute. Heaven is eternal. Earth is temporal. That is, it's temporal. But we have to live here. Whether we like it or not, we have to live on this temporal planet and make the best of it. But once we become our own masters again, then we can live here with ease. Now, what does it mean to become our own masters? In chiropractic, earthly chiropractic, we keep saying from above down, in out. It should be from above down and keep going down until it goes out. From where? From the bottom of our feet, from the bottom of our souls, S-O-L-E. And soul, and S-O-U-L, spiritually or breath-wise, is similar. It isn't the letter of the word, it is the breath or the spirit of the word that counts. So what is S-O-L-E? S-O-L-E means the bottom of our feet that touch earth are the beastly soul. So, how do we live today? Yes, we take in those cosmic rays from the top of our heads and go in through our bones, and they are processed, but they're detrimental, very detrimental, but we process them anyway. And when we process them, they go all the ways down into our feet and out into Mother Earth. So Mother Earth is changing according to the new frequencies because of all of us. This is how important we are. But we have to go through this because when this is over, it will be a whole new season, springtime, which will not be the same as the last springtime. The only difference between the spring that we are aware of is the time element. The other spring that I'm speaking about that pertains to us is, I believe, about 3,000 years. Every 3,000 years, we change and go into the winter, spring, summer, autumn, winter. So we've gone around 3 times already. And we're up to the last one, the 3 sixes that Revelation 13 mentions. And everybody takes it as if it is something very evil. Because it starts off, if you want to know wisdom. So how do we start? We start with spring, summer, autumn, and we have a winter. And we go through that winter. And then the next time we have another one, spring, summer, autumn, and we have another winter. Now we're going through it, spring, summer, autumn. This is the 3rd time. Either we hit the ball or we strike out. In order to cross over, not on the same level, to cross over on a higher level that will give us the opposite of winter. In a place where there is no sickness, no want, no anything. And this is what we're going to do. Oh yeah, we'll stay here, but that place that I speak about will change, will be what we call the environment. But that environment out there will not be as it is today, hurting us, because it wouldn't be, as Cannon said, in homeostasis, when the inside kind of adjusts itself to the outside. And when you have a hurricane, as it is devastating so many places in the United States, and I saw it tonight again, a tremendous amount in Alabama, just wiped places out completely, wind. But when we start to control the outside, or the outside becomes as our inside, but before we can do that, we must become perfect. And this is our job, to become perfect. And you must be aware of it. Because if you're not aware of it, then you don't know where the hell you're going, in plain English. You have to be aware of it. Have to be aware of what we're about, where we're going, and why we came here. The Bible has many memorials, and this is what it means. Memorial Day. To remember what will take place. And this is to be aware. No creature knows about tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, he gets up. If he's a nocturnal sleeper, it's up and goes about its business, hunting, whatever, in order to eat. But we can plan. Yesterday we could plan for tomorrow. Think of it. No creature has this ability. So, now, since we take these cosmic rays in, this is the north, and we are told that the north takes in and lets out at the south, out, south, out. But we do hear that some geologists have found evidence that the world had a different polarity. And so they think the whole world is going to go upside down. It is not because you and I are going to stop taking in from up here. And when we have that hiatus of taking in from up there, then that big change takes place within us. And when that change is adequate, then we start towing in. T-O-W or T-O-E, what's the difference? None. And when we walk, don't we grab the earth? Preachers don't do that, they just walk. We grab. Even in our shoes we grab. Take that which Mother Earth has received from us. Now, she will give us not only earthly food as she's been giving us, but also spiritual food, which we can take in and process it. And this is the spirit. And this is the same spirit that a tree gets. A tree is mortal, but it has longevity, where a human has no spirit at all. It had to be taken away for it to be a conduit through the whole spinal column, so it can process them down there. Did you follow that? I hope you did, because see, biology is not only taking things apart and trying to find an answer. You never will. Oh, you'll find answers, but not the answers that we're looking for. Not. Never. A scientist tells us he's not interested in what I just spoke about. But he is. Would you say an astronomer is a scientist? Because he's given us how this so-called, what he calls the universe, I call the cosmos, again, doesn't he? You bet. And doesn't he, isn't he, especially the one they passed on not so long ago, called Sagan, thinking that there is intelligent beings in other planets? Is he right or is he wrong? He had an idea there were. The question is, we have to define what does he mean by intelligence. Huh? What is it? Every little ray that comes from that sun has intelligence. And the finer the ray or the rod, the more intelligent it becomes. Yeah. So, let me write something down for you. Better known as photosynthesis, produces what? Who wants to tell me? Sugars, huh? Starches, fats too. Depends upon the combination. But without the sunlight, no good. So what does the sunlight contribute here? The sun rays. In self-center we call them rods. The sun rods. The rods from the sun. And they have that intelligence. So you see, you know something tonight they don't know. Oh, they know you need this formula to explain it, to be aware. Without light, there is no chemical action here. And we know that sugars and starches are not really the things that hold us together, but it is a thing inside of us. So if you look at a chicken's egg, you see the yellow within. And then around it, we see the white, the albumin, also known as the protein. Now, on Saturday, I was at a place after the funeral services. We went to a place to eat. And one chiropractor was there, and another one was there, and they were talking about DNA and this, that, and the other thing. And one of them spoke up and said, well, we give too much credit to the DNA because we don't recognize, and this is scientific fact, that the DNA is encapsulated by proteins. So what in heavens is the difference between that and the egg? Notice it? The basic structure is still there. And then he went on to say that the DNA can do nothing unless we get rid of the protein. That's what it does, we hope. And we'll never know until, fine, you finish what I have to say, until
we become aware,
until we receive or get our
Holy Spirit
inner eye. Because that's the one that can see everything. And this is what this metamorphosis is all about. The inner eye. And you are the inner eye. You are that center. And in there is you, I. And in there is that seed. That's you. That's I. And each seed has its own script. We may be on the same level, but the script is different. Get it? So that makes you, you, and me. Want to know who you are? That's who you are. Why have we come here? Everything I told you, to become aware. And now the next thing, you must become aware. Last thing, then I'll get off. Last thing we must become aware of, that this nation and all nations must go. But that doesn't mean to say that the world is going to be a vacuum. Oh no. The old won't go for the new to come in. And so this is why chiropractic came here. For this reason, and this reason only. True, we had to start at the very beginning. Earth, and work our way up. And now we are about to cross over into the spiritual realm. And it's still here, mentally speaking, to start a whole new nation. And this is where that beautiful so-called cliche, well, we have to start back in, who would like to finish it?
Square one.
There are no circles in heaven. We have to start back in.
Square one.
That's it. Got it? Okay, Brian.
Anyone
Write it down.
Anyone like to ask Pasquale anything? Anyone?
No, huh? Okay.
Good job.